libertarian fiscal policy that I also disagree with. Just this idea that you can do everything on your own, you don't need any help, and as long as you work hard enough and you're smart enough, you will be successful.
No, you always get this wrong, and that is because you guys just simply do not listen to the libertarians. You don't take the time to read the articles, do some research, and you also show your lack of basic understanding of economics and what really happens in real life. You see, in real life, most people already spend the majority of their money on charity. This is because most people raise families. Most of us spend the majority of our money on our children, on our brothers and sisters, family members, our spouses. You understand? And this is not something that we're forced to do. Nobody has to come and tell you and force you to take care of your family or take care of the people around you if you're able to do that. Most people have enough sense to do that. And most people have so much sense that they go out of their way to start non-profit organizations to help the people who can't help themselves. Most people spend and give money away to charities and donations. Trust me, the average kid who walks down the block knocking on doors asking to get money for his football team to raise some money, he gets the money. People do give out money, and I know a couple of people who use that as a scam. Grown folks running around knocking on people's doors trying to get money, and people would give it to them. The majority of people out there in the streets will tip someone who they don't have to pay without being coerced or forced to do so. The only point the libertarians are making is that people do not need to be forced into caring about each other, because once you point guns at them and take their money and force them to take care of other people who they may not really, who the money may not go to naturally, you create a problem within the system. Libertarians are not saying that everybody is going to be fine on their own. Of course, you're going to have handicapped and disabled people by nature. Everybody ages. But the way that people should take care of each other is through creative, voluntary means. Because when you have a forceful and coercive government that gets in the way and makes everybody cool, things always go wrong. If you look at it right now, the average amount of money that is spent on welfare for people who are on welfare from the government is about $20 to $30 an hour. I'm not looking at it right now. I'm just going off the top of my head. But it's about $30 an hour for each person that is on welfare. Now, do you know how much of that money really goes to the person on welfare? Well, I know people on welfare and they barely get $600, $700, $800 a month. So what happened to the rest of the money? It went to the infrastructure. It went to the bureaucracy. It went to the paper push. And you could always avoid that if you simply have voluntary non-profit organizations competing to provide the best solutions to those problems. Not simply saying, yo, we're going to let this one big monopoly take it over and do whatever they want to do with everybody's money with no competition or recourse.
A lot of people who believe in that ideology took advantage of public education, take advantage of public law enforcement, fire department. We have private prisons, but private prisons kind of screwed things up. So you don't really want to privatize everything.
There you go again with the wrong generalizations. You just don't pay attention, do you? Now, do you know that most firefighters and the big chunk of the firefighters in this country are volunteers? They do it because they want to. People want to do stuff like that. You speaking as if the majority of the society is just a bunch of retards running around who have no consciousness of what is actually taking place around them. That is stupid. You're belittling the rest of the people you're trying to talk about protecting. Because the rest of society already knows what to do. We don't need your government and to put guns in our face to make us comply and go along with your plan. Now, the problem is, again, listen, the libertarian and the voluntarist is not saying to take away public defense. It's not saying to take away the police. It's not saying to take away all of those services we've grown accustomed to. What they're saying is to take away the violent element, take away the monopoly, and allow competition among those organizations, because competition always breeds efficiency. And then instead of companies and the corporations you always complain about paying the government to get favoritism, they would have no choice but to compete with each other by providing a better service. they're able to leverage their violence through the government. Instead of them having to go and take over the other businesses themselves, which would be impossible. You wouldn't have the funds to pay for an army to go and try to take over your competitor's business. It's much better to just provide a cheaper, more efficient service, or get out their business altogether and find something else that you could actually improve upon. The problem here is that you have a government that has the sanction and the public approval to run around and shoot whoever does not go along with what they're talking about. So when you have that taking place, well, what do you expect? What do you think the corporations are going to do? Do you think the corporations are going to actually compete with each other, or focus on this big here with all the weapons that dictates what happens? It doesn't matter how good a competitive or which company provides the better service. The problem is the government gets in the way. How can you blame corporations for what they do when corporations are given sanction and protective from liability through the government? Every corporation has to apply to the government for permission and gives the government about 30 to 45% of their income. How can you then turn around and talk about the corporations but ignore the big elephant in the room? You guys sound ignorant sometimes, man, and I like your channel. But you say some very ignorant stuff, and you need to take some basic economics lessons if you're gonna delve in the realm of politics, or else leave it to the people who actually take the time to understand what's taking place.
Thank you, Emma.